Hello guys, I'm Cambridge English teacher Rory, or Cambridge Rory, from studentlanguages.com, and in today's video I'm going to be critiquing a B2 first, that's FCE essay. I will show corrections on the essay and then I will mark it like the examiners will mark yours in the exam. So, this is the essay question. It says, in your English class you have been talking about the advantages of being a film star. Now your English teacher has asked you to write an essay. Write an essay using all the notes and give reasons for your point of view. Being a famous film star has both advantages and disadvantages. Do you agree? Write about media attention, lifestyle, and your own idea. Okay, so let's have a look at the writing. Firstly, I can see that it's a good length. I know that from the size of the font and how much room it takes up on the page. Secondly, the paragraphs are clearly separated, which is good. So, let's start reading. It is generally known that many people are eager to become famous. This is a nice phrase. Are eager. It's probably less common vocabulary. So, first thing I can do is write that in the examiner's assessment scale. The examiners mark a criteria based on these 4 things. They give it a mark from 1 to 5 for each, 5 being the best. So there is evidence, let's write in language, evidence of some less common vocabulary. For example, eager. Although I believe there are plenty of benefits to be a star. Okay, so being a star is what we need to say. Being with in a gerund form with an ing at the end, because it's almost like a separate phrase. This you could move these 3 words to another part of the sentence. You could say, being a star has plenty of benefits, for example, and here it needs to be the same. So there are plenty of benefits to being a star. Sometimes in other sentences we say benefits of with the verb ing also. Normally after a preposition you have a verb with an ing. So there are plenty of benefits to being a star, but it is also difficult to overlook the downsides. These are good words also, overlook and downsides. Not so common. Okay, so I started making the corrections here, but what I'm going to do actually is leave this as the original answer for the student and make my corrections on a copy of it here. So, to being a star. Not only are celebrities able to afford luxuries, but they also have a lot more opportunities. So this is an example of what we call inversion in grammar. We start with a phrase like not only, and then we invert, which means we swap the position of the subject and the verb. If this wasn't here, the sentence would be, celebrities are able to. But because we have this at the beginning, these words become inverted, and that's good. That's a complex grammar structure. So again, I can say there is evidence of some complex grammar or grammatical structures used correctly and to good effect. For example, let's make it obvious by saying inversion, and then I'll give the example sentence. For instance, nice linking phrase, showing good organization on an individual paragraph level. We have an opening sentence like this. Not only are they able to do this, they have more opportunities, and then it goes into more detail with an example. For instance, famous people have access to better education and healthcare, so they are likely to perform academically and be healthier. Okay. Moreover, so then again it's building this paragraph. We have an opening phrase, we then have an example, we then are building on this example with the word moreover. So that's really good organization and development of language, which is going to fall into these two categories. So what I'm going to say is, firstly, there is a clear overall structure to the essay with clearly separated paragraphs, including an introduction, a conclusion, and two main paragraphs in the middle. On an individual paragraph level, there is a clear opening sentence, certainly in the first main paragraph this is, which is then developed with an example and built upon further. I can't remember exactly how it's built upon further, but I know it will be because of the word moreover. This development is helped with the use of linking phrases, for example, for instance, moreover. Communicative achievement. The first main paragraph is well delivered because of its structure mainly. It has a clear flow and is easy to follow because it has this first paragraph, opening paragraph, more general, then a specific example backing this up, and then another sentence building on that. So that's good. So moreover, their daily tasks can be delegated. Can be delegated is an example of passive voice, which is not such an easy grammatical structure to use. And we can add it in here, so passive. Good. Which gives them far more time for self-development. Hobbies and other scintillating activities. Scintillating is a good word. Not very well known. I can add it to this list here. Indeed, such lifestyle, we should say such a lifestyle, which includes an abundance of advantages, nice phrase, is a desirable one. Good. Okay, does this answer any part of the question? So we need to write about lifestyle, media attention, and our own idea. So yeah, it's talking about lifestyle. It's talking about self-development, hobbies, because of these things, because of the education and healthcare. So I think that is talking about lifestyle. Good. Let's see if the next paragraph talks about media attention. On the other hand, some well-known people seem to be disappointed in as much as they are constantly in the public eye, which is another way to say media attention. So yes, good. Even though it could be flattering at the beginning, it restricts their freedom eventually. Nice phrase, nice word, less well known. Finally, if they take no measures to address the problem, this excessive attention may probably lead to a mental breakdown. Okay, so yes, so the question is, or the answer, let's say the two main paragraphs, which which is not the introduction and conclusion, but the two middle paragraphs of the answer, focus on the two notes given in the question. It is obvious that these two notes are being answered, and all of the information, I think, in these two paragraphs is relevant to answering the question, because they're talking about advantages and disadvantages of media attention and lifestyle. And this here, this first main paragraph, is talking about the advantages and disadvantages. So it's talking about mainly advantages, that it can be good for self-development, scintillating activities. It has an abundance of advantages, so it's obviously answering that. And this one is talking about, disadvantages. Could lead to mental breakdown, restricts their freedom. However, we also need to talk about a third main idea, using all the notes, and give reasons for your point of view. But we do not talk about a third idea, so it would be good to get this involved somewhere. Your own idea. For that reason, I'm going to give it a 3 because it's good. But if you don't talk about the third one, then I feel like I have to give it a 2, because you need to really talk about your own idea as well. If you do that, then easily a 3, maybe higher. Let's have a look quickly at the conclusion. In conclusion, being a high-profile star has a number of pros and cons. This language may be a little bit, I would use it more in the part 2, like an informal writing. It'd be better to say positives and negatives. So that's just one slight for the language. There are only a few language errors, firstly. As you can see, I did not make many corrections at all. And only one or two times when the language is slightly inappropriate for an essay. For example, when you say pros and cons, it'd be better to say positives and negatives. However, the language generally is very good, and I'm going to give it a 4. The organization is very good, as I said, on an overall level and an individual paragraph level. So I'm going to give that a 4 as well. The flow of the writing is good. Do you communicate your points well? Yes, you do. And that I'm going to give a 3 also. Just to go back to the conclusion, because I didn't finish it. Personally, I would be deeply grateful for such opportunities if I were a star, despite the challenges. Good. It's obvious to me, in terms of communicative achievement, it's obvious that the paragraphs are addressing the notes, and that they have a good structure, they're easy to follow, so no problems there. 3 possibly could be a 4. The only thing is you need to talk about the third note, and that will bring the content up. But as we can see here, it's good enough to pass, in my opinion. So we had a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 4, which is 8, 11, 13. Yep. So if you had the same mark in your part 2 answer, 13, you would get 26, but you only need 24 out of 40 marks in order to pass the B2 first exam. So I hope this video was useful. Thank you for watching. I've been Cambridge Rory, or Cambridge English Teacher Rory, from studentlanguages.com. Bye-bye.